You know, when Apple announced the iPhone Air, it looked like the perfect idea on paper. An ultra-thin, futuristic iPhone that felt like holding the future in your hand. But once you look past the hype, you start to realize that this phone comes with some pretty big compromises. So in this video, we're going to break down everything that's wrong with the iPhone Air, from the missing features to the sacrifices Apple made for the slim design. Let's unpack it all. But before we dive in, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because I bring you real, unfiltered takes on tech, and if you're tired of the marketing spin, this is the channel for you. Alright, let's get into it. First up, and probably the most obvious issue, is the camera setup. The iPhone Air only has a single 48 megapixel rear camera. Yes, it's a decent sensor, but the lack of an ultra wide or telephoto lens is a massive step back compared to pretty much every other iPhone in Apple's lineup. What does that mean in practice though? So there's no optical zoom, no true macro photography, and way less flexibility when you're shooting in different conditions. Your low light performance also takes a hit because there's no secondary sensor to help out. For a phone that costs as much as the Air, I feel like this is a serious limitation. Now let's talk about battery life. The whole point of the iPhone Air is that it's incredibly thin, but that design choice comes at a big cost as well. Apple had to shrink the battery down to just over 3,100 milliamps, and in the real world, that means this phone struggles to last a full day with heavy use. If you're gaming, streaming, or running productivity apps all day, don't expect the Air to keep up with you. And yes, Apple will sell you a MagSafe battery pack to make up for it, but come on. Why should you pay a premium for a phone that can't make it through a normal day without extra accessories? Another problem with the Air is performance under sustained load. Apple used a tweaked version of the A19 Pro chip, but they had to dial it back because of cooling issues. Unlike the Pro models that have the vapor chamber cooling, the iPhone Air doesn't. That means when you push it, whether that's with gaming for an hour or editing video on the go, it heats up and then the performance throttles down. So the result is a phone that feels fast at first but slows down under pressure, which is not what you want from a flagship Apple device. Now let's go back to the camera limitations for a moment, because they're really noticeable. If you're someone who loves having options when you shoot, wide angles, close-ups, portrait shots with depth, the iPhone Air just doesn't give you that flexibility. The single lens design means you're stuck with digital zoom, and that quickly degrades the image quality. The front-facing camera is innovative in its sense with its square sensor, but even there, quirks exist. For example, if you try to manually use landscape mode, features like center stage drop out temporarily. These little inconsistencies add up, making this phone questionable. Next, let's talk about SIM support. Apple has gone all in on eSIM with the Air, and there's no physical SIM slot at all. While that works fine in places like the UAE, Europe, and the US, where eSIM adoption is growing, it's still a headache for frequent travelers or anyone who likes the flexibility of swapping out physical SIMs. If you travel to a country where eSIM isn't as widespread, you're literally gonna be stuck. That makes the Air less versatile compared to other iPhones that still offered at least one SIM tray. Another downgrade that doesn't get talked about enough is the audio setup. The iPhone Air only has a mono speaker. In 2025, that's pretty wild, considering even mid-range Android phones give you stereo speakers for a more immersive sound experience. So watching Netflix, playing games, or even just blasting some music on the Air feels underwhelming and muffled. It's one of those corners Apple cut to make the phone thinner, but it directly impacts how you use it day to day. The display is another area where compromises sneak in. On paper, it's a 120Hz OLED panel with high peak brightness which sounds amazing, but in actual use, it doesn't quite match the color accuracy and brightness levels of Apple's Pro displays. Outdoors in harsh sunlight, you'll notice it. The Air just isn't as legible or vibrant as its more expensive siblings. And while 120 Hz is there, you do occasionally see the phone drop frames when it heats up, tying back into those throttling issues. So putting all of this together and you see a clear picture. The iPhone Air is gorgeous, futuristic, and impressively thin, but Apple made some big sacrifices to get it there. A single camera, weaker battery, throttled performance, no SIM slot, mono speaker, and a display that isn't quite flagship level with frame rates dropping when it heats up. These are real issues that affect how you use the phone on a daily basis. So here's my personal take. The iPhone Air is aspirational. It's Apple showing off what it can do with design. But if you actually need a phone that performs across the board every single day, you're better off with a Pro or even a standard iPhone model. The Air is for people who want to say, look at how thin my phone is, or just want compatibility and flexibility. Not for people who actually push their devices. It's style over substance, and where practicality matters just as much as flash, I don't think it's the smartest buy. So that's it for today's breakdown of everything wrong with the iPhone Air. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.